Hundreds of athletes have been left stranded in a Lagos airport after failing to get connecting flights to the venue of the African Athletics Championships. With no regular flights to the Nigerian city of Asaba, an estimated 300 athletes from 20 countries have spent hours at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, some without their luggage. Countries including Kenya, South Africa, Zambia, Cote d'Ivoire, Morocco, Senegal, Uganda and Algeria had their entire delegations grounded in Lagos. The 5-day event is due to begin on Wednesday, and by Tuesday evening, the Nigerian government was still scrambling to get chartered flights for the teams to Asaba. Seems like a very worrying development for this tournament. Let's get to the very latest on this now. Let's go live to Lagos, where CGTN's Deji Badmus is standing by. Deji, what is the cause of this logistical nightmare at the Lagos airport?
Well, Lindy, it all depends on who you're talking to. I have actually, not quite long ago now, just a few, I would say less than an hour ago, I actually spoke with one of the officials of the organizing committee, and what he said was that part of the problem, that apart from the fact that you don't have frequent flights from Lagos to Asaba, even though a lot of people would have expected that the government would have made arrangement for that, considering the fact that this event was taking place. But he said that some of these countries, some of the teams arriving did not provide the local organizing committee with the itinerary. As a matter of fact, he even said, he actually mentioned a country where he said the country basically flew into Port Harcourt, which is close to Asaba, and that the athletes just traveled by road from Port Harcourt to the venue of where the event is taking place, and that they were not informed at all. The local organizing committee was not informed. So basically that's what we're getting. But the fact is that there isn't frequent flight from Lagos to Asaba because the airport is not a busy one. And besides that, the weather, the weather around that region is not so good. So you don't have frequent flights to that region. But one would have expected that arrangements would have been made since this event was taking place. But we understand that a majority of the teams are now in Asaba. Of course, you still have, we were at the airport just a few hours ago, and we saw the Kenyan delegation at the airport. We saw the Cameroonian delegation there at the airport. We also saw that of Burkina Faso and Egypt. But we understand that they will be airlifted any moment from now. But not a good one at all. No proper arrangement in place, if you ask me. And that's the reason why you have this situation, yes.
Well, one person who managed to make it to the host city of Asaba on time was our very own Edmund Nyabola, who joins us live now from Asaba in Nigeria. Edmund, we've just heard Deji say that officials are scrambling to get those remaining athletes to the host town. But will these delays affect the championships that are expected to begin tomorrow?
Most certainly, Lindy, and on two fronts. The first one is the organizational front, of course. Athletes are required to be at the hosting city just about 24 hours before the start of the championships for registration, collecting the accreditation, and also other activities of documentation before the championships begin. And it's even recommended that the athletes should get a feel of the stadium before they start the events. That, as we are seeing right now, might not be the case for the 5 or so teams that are stranded in Lagos. We understand that they found a solution and they could be brought here tomorrow morning, just an hour before the opening ceremony, and that actually might affect how they perform here ultimately, because the conditions at the airport in which they have been staying and waiting for flights to come here have not been the best. So the athletes maybe are psychologically troubled, and that might affect how they perform. But on the organizational front, Lindy, it will be a problem. If they're not here in time for the opening ceremony and the start of the first events here that we have, the decathlon men's events, that again might be a challenge for the CAA and the local organizing committee in terms of how they reschedule these events to take place when all the teams are here.
Deji, let's come back to you in Lagos. You have said that Nigerian authorities are doing all they can to resolve the situation as quickly as possible. But do you think heads are going to roll? We have many unhappy athletes and, of course, a very awkward start to an important championship.
Well, it's difficult to tell at this moment if heads are going to roll. Fact is that you could see some poor organization in all of this because, look, everyone knows there's no frequent flights to Asaba, but as I said, because Nigeria is hosting these competition, you would expect that all those arrangements would have been made. I mean, that contingency plans would have been put in place, and that you know, the organizers would have discussed with the airline operators in this country to ensure that adequate flight arrangements were made. But of course, with what we're hearing too from some of the officials, I mean, the local organizers here saying that some of these teams did not actually provide the itinerary, did not inform them about their arrangement, that they just went on to make their own arrangement. Then we do not know, you know, who is actually telling the truth. But that's what some of the officials have been saying. We just have to wait and see if heads would roll. Yes. One thing I know for sure is that, yes, it is true that Nigeria is actually hosting this, but do not forget, it's not a Nigerian event, tournament or event, so to speak. It's still being hosted by, I would think, the IAAF. So we'll wait and see, even though the local organizing committee is Nigeria. But whether heads will roll, we'll have to wait and see. But it's not a good one at all for the country. Indeed. And it's not a good start at all, because some of these athletes, as Edmond has been saying, may not be able to take part in that opening ceremony. Indeed, indeed. Well, thank you so much, Deji. Edmond, very quickly, some reports that some of the teams have opted to return home because of the chaos. Can you confirm that for us?
There were reports that the Moroccan team had actually, returned home, but that might not be the case because we saw some of the athletes here in Asaba earlier today. What could have happened is that they might have found a different route from Lagos, maybe to Abuja and to Owerri or Port Harcourt or Benin City. That is actually the route some of them are using. But still, you have to drive to Asaba for 2 hours from all those 3 cities. So some of them, we are told, have found alternative routes, and that's what they have done. As for the Moroccan team that people are saying, returned home, that could not be the case. We are yet to verify, yes, but that could not be the case because we saw some of the athletes at the accreditation center collecting their accreditation, of course, in readiness for this championship. So we are not able to establish at the moment. Of course, we are still waiting for communication from the CAA and the local organizing committee, but we are not able to establish whether there is a team that has actually returned home because of the chaos.
I guess all will be revealed at that opening ceremony. Thank you so much, Edmund Nyabola, joining us there live from Asaba in Nigeria, and of course, Deji Badmos in Lagos.